Hi, it's Craig Metrowich from VideoCelebrityNews.com, and today we're talking about innovators and thrill seekers, and I'm going to be interviewing in depth, and we're going to record that later. But this is a quick intro live on Facebook for a interesting guy, Anthony Burzak. He is a sports scientist. I mean, how does that work? Sports scientist. I mean, is that a real thing, or is it a marketing strapline?
No, it's a real thing that I did some years back.
Okay.
Yeah, at Stellenbosch University.
At Stellenbosch University. Okay. Yeah. Shout out to them. So Anthony is one of these guys similar to me. I'm wearing the helmet appropriately for all of you, and there's a story behind the helmet. Okay, it's not just for effect, because I'm finally going to get to explain to a sports scientist why I wear a helmet when I do most of the sports that I do. So Anthony, you've got a thing called, I want to show everybody, it's called the eye roll. So go down a little bit, okay, and if you can pick it up, get into the frame here, check the frame, pick it up, there we go. Pick it up, put it into frame, well done. So that's one of the addictions he's got. I said to him, I want to talk about healthy addictions, okay. He's a bit of an adrenaline junkie, and he's a quite heavy, you can put it down. But I thought you fit, and strong. So he's got what I call healthy addictions. I often see him on a weekend on one of these devices, and I thought, heck, I must have a chat to him, because I can understand in the world of mobility and public transport, things are changing rapidly. I mean, we've got, for example, they're talking about vehicles that you can get into that'll fly you, okay, unattended, in Dubai, by the way. So this is not science fiction. Very exciting stuff from a mobility point of view. Let's get to you and a little bit about what you're doing in this intro. Anthony, so why get involved with something to do with mobility? What is it called? Hang on, let's go with the basics.
It's an electric unicycle.
Electric unicycle, got it.
I've been riding them for a few years. It's a connection of mine bought in a bunch, and I saw them. I used to ride regular unicycles.
Right.
This is
like a bicycle, one-wheel bicycle.
Yeah, with a fixed cog. And so I've been into the balance stuff, and this is much easier to ride than one of those.
Yeah.
So when I saw it, I just got straight on and rode it, which was like, people thought they were quite difficult to ride, which was a bit of a barrier.
But listen, I've known you for quite a few years. I mean, you've got a natural, some people have got a natural thing with balance and easy to do sports that seem quite dangerous. Let's talk rollerblading. Are you still doing that? Because I used to see you going down the pathway in Bloberg at like 50 or 60 k's an hour. Are you still into that?
I do it normally when I'm injured. I do it as my recovery activity.
Oh, is that your recovery activity? Okay, it's a bit wild.
It's generally gentle, as long as you don't fall.
As long as you don't fall, correct. Let's talk about safety on the mobility side of using a device like this. So what is the safety requirements, or what would you recommend? If I'm a parent watching this, and I want my kids to have a nice healthy addiction, healthy activity, what are your recommendations?
Well, I think for a start, there's a perception that they're very difficult to ride, which is not true at all. It's very much like learning to ride a bicycle. There's a bit of a learning process, and any kid who gets on one is normally riding it within 5-10 minutes.
5 to 10 minutes, that's pretty amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen
so there's not a long learning curve.
If you don't have that much coordination, haven't done balance stuff, it might take you a few sessions. But if you go about it the right way, there's steps to go about to make it easier to learn. Balance is very similar to a bicycle. And we recommend that guys, especially when they're learning, wear safety.
A guy like me, I've got all the kits already, by the way. Okay, so I'm fully. The only thing I would say to him, I would have, wrist guards, because I know when I did rollerblading and the other sports, you tend to, when you're beginner, put your arm out, your hand out. So the only thing I would add is, if you're going to do any of these types of sports, look into the safety requirements around it. It can be as safe as you make it, or as dangerous. I want to get into you as a person, as in what are these healthy addictions around sports and that. Let's go some of your background. Are you still kite surfing? I know you were an absolute hooligan in the days of kite surfing.
Yeah, I still kite a lot. I've been injured for a few months now, but I'm getting back into it.
And that's pretty normal. If you're not going big, you're not going to have some injury along the way or some pain, eh?
Yeah.
I mean, Travis is a good example, the nitro circuits that they're bringing out here. I mean, if you look at an x-ray of his body, I think it's mainly metal pins versus, a normal structure of a human being. So your injury, you're recovering, kite surfing, what other sports? Let's just go about your sports background. What other sports have you been into?
I was windsurfing in the early days, back with you. And I think I've delved in quite a lot of different extreme sports, and and also the training that goes with it. You know,
Yeah.
staying fit and strong, and using my sports science knowledge to.
What I've liked is when we've had a chat as well, he's very good at saying to you, listen, Craigie, you're not going to get rid of your six-pack because of the following. He actually did a diet plan. I don't know if you remember. It was a while back, and he said to me, this is what I recommend you eat. What do you eat on a daily basis? The bottom line is, if I wasn't so hyper, I should be about 60 kgs heavier than I'm currently at, based on what I consumed off of your matrix. Is about right, huh? Some other things. Okay, I want to explain the helmet for this particular interview. So I jet skied, windsurf, kite surf. I've done all the extreme sports. On the record, all those people that rip me off whenever I go down to the beach, I have got a gat in my kop. Okay, for the internationals, it's a translation is I've got a hole literally in my head. That's a fact. I was diagnosed with a skull tumor a few years back, and they removed the skull tumor, and I've got a titanium plate in my head. So literally any sports that I do, I would have to, in actual fact, if my daughter watches this, when I take her ice skating on that little baby rink, I'm going to have to wear my helmet, because the advice I got is do all the sports but always wear a helmet, because the titanium, which is over here by the way, is stronger now than just the bone area. So for the record, anybody nasty to me, please, you should have empathy. I've literally got a hole in my head. Did you know that?
I think I had some awareness there.
Yeah.
I would have suspected something.
You would have suspected something like that. It makes sense. Okay, Anthony, just some more info around you. How did you get into the whole sports science side? Because that's quite serious. I mean, I want to make this program is about being fun, informative, high energy, but that's quite a serious path. How did you get into it?
I think as a teenager, I aspired to be good at sports and good at extreme sports, and I didn't feel like I had a natural inclination for it. I think a lot of people who know me and see me do sports, that kind of surprises them. But essentially, I think we're all wired in a very similar way, and a lot of it's got to do with your mental attitude.
Well, that's the first compliment I've ever got. No one's ever said to me, I'm wired in a similar way. They've almost gone like, what are you on? Is it legal? Can I get some? So I'm also wired in a similar way. I love that. And how's the studies helped you? Have you utilized it? Is it part of your work? Is it part of your consulting? How's it helped you?
I mean, I did a master's, and my thesis was based on flow states, which is based on the works of a guy named Csikszentmihalyi, which I won't spell for you.
Okay, no, don't try and spell that right now.
And flow is a state of being completely absorbed in something that you're enjoying doing and challenging yourself. And I think I aspired to that, kind of just taking on new things and taking steps to...
It sounds like a calming energy from what I understand. Yes or no? Is it like a calming energy? Is it like... I did Aikido, and Aikido is very different as a martial arts, because they teach you to utilize the energy and the power of the other person. So you take their energy, the aggressiveness of them attacking you, and you convert it back into them. So is it something similar?
I think, being challenged optimally just kind of gets you completely absorbed, so that you don't, you've got a certain amount of psychic energy that you can use at a given moment. And when you're in that state, all your psychic energy is focused on that task that you're doing. And you feel a lot happier and a lot more relaxed because you don't get distracted by it.
Let's add to this. Have you heard of neurocardiology? Neurons, cardio, heart. Neurocardiology, please all go and Google it. It's phenomenal. There's a lot of YouTube clips on it. UCLA did a paper on it, and basically it's talking about the neural activity connection between your heart and your brain, and the fact that your heart not only is a pump, that pumps blood around, it is a projector of energy. So go and Google that and go and check it out. Right, we're going to wrap up. After this, we're doing an in-depth interview, which will be featured on videocelebritynews.com as well as the YouTube channel, in which we're going to go into a little bit more detail with Anthony Burzak. And he's also going to do a demo for me because I want to see him wipe out. I've got a helmet, you can share it, okay? This guy even went on the grass here. Can you believe it? I'll show you. Just turn around here, like with me, follow me. So you'll see, I think you can even see the mark. There's a whole mark on the grass. I said it can't go on the grass yet. You see, now demo, it can go on the grass. And so what we'll do in an in-depth interview, we'll do a little bit of a demo. Anything to add to the audience? Are you inspired now to go out there and share your healthy addiction with more people?
I think more people need to get riding on these things. I think it's part of the charge of electric transport, and it's easy access to electric transport. It's kind of gives you a feeling of empowerment. Just you kind of get your balance together.
So would you be buddies with Elon? If Elon invited you, Elon Musk, if he said, listen, come to one of my parties, would you want to go to that one? With
Yeah,
Tesla
as long as we're cruising around the party on electric unicycles.
That would be your requirement. You might have it in his factory after this if he sees this. All right, my name's Craig Metrowich. That's a wrap up. Share the love.